Okay, how's it going, everybody? So we're going to read some more Lenin today. This is Iron on Peasant Farms. Let's see, this came out in, 1913 in Pravda. Let's go ahead and get into it. Promyshlenost I Torgovila, the organ of our industrial millionaires. The organ of the Council of Congresses recently gave vent to a sort of foolishly hypocritical or hypocritically foolish sigh because Russia turns out to be the neighbor of one of the most backward countries, Spain, as far as the per capita consumption of the most important items of production is concerned. With regard to iron, one of the most important products of modern industry, one of the foundations of civilization, one might say, Russia's backwardness and barbarism is particularly great. A cart with iron tires is still a rarity in the Russian countryside, the organ of the millionaires admitted. However, on the question of whether this cultural rarity in the Russian village depends on the incidence, rarities in quotations, depends on the incidence of serf relations and the omnipotence of the feudal landowners, on whom the, quote, aces, end quote, of Russian capitalism fawn. The millionaires maintain a modest silence. We greatly love to chatter about culture, about the development of productive forces, about improving the peasant farm, and so on. And we are past masters at it. Yet whenever it comes to removing the stone that lies in the way of, quote, improving the lot, end quote, of millions of impoverished, downtrodden, hungry, ragged, savage peasants, our millionaires become tongue-tied. Here are some figures from Hungarian agricultural statistics that clearly show the significance of the oppression of the peasantry by the landowners as in regard to the extent to which iron is used. That is, in regard to the solidity of the iron foundation of culture in the country concerned. Hungary, of course, is the country closest to Russia, not only geographically, but on account of the omnipotence of the reactionary landowners, who have retained a tremendous quantity of land from medieval times. In Germany, for instance, there are 23,000 properties out of 5,500,000 that are more than 100 hectares in extent, and together they make up less than a quarter of the total land area. In Hungary, there are 24,000 such properties out of 2,800,000, and they make up 45% of the country's total land area. 4,000 Hungarian landowners have more than 1,000 decimines each, and together they own almost a third of all the land. As you can see, that is not far removed from, quote, Mother Russia, end quote. Hungarian Statistics, 1895, made a particularly detailed investigation of the question of iron on peasant farms. It was shown that out of 2,800,000 farms, 1.5 million belonging to laborers or proletarians was up to 5 joke or 2.85 desiatines, and also 1 million small peasant farms up to 20 joke. That is up to 11 desiatines. Have to make do with wooden implements. The 2.5 million farms out of the total of 2,800,000, no doubt, use mainly plows with a wooden shaft, harrows with wooden frames, and almost half of them, the carts in use, are without iron tires. There is no complete figures for Russia. The figures available for separate localities show that the poverty, primitiveness, and neglect on most Russian peasant farms are incomparably greater than on Hungarian farms. It cannot be otherwise. If the tired cart is not to be a rarity, there must be a free, educated, bold farmer who is capable of dealing with the feudal landowners, who is capable of getting away from routine methods, and has all the land in the state at his disposal. Quote, culture, end quote, is as much to be expected of the peasant who is still oppressed by the Markovs and Purikoviches with their landed estates, as humanity is to be expected of the Saltikovas. The millionaires of our industry prefer to share medieval privileges with the Purishkeviches and to sigh about the deliverance of, quote, the fatherland, end quote, from medieval lack of culture. Saltikova Darya Ivanova, 1730-1801, is a serf owner notorious for her brutal treatment of her serfs. That was, where did he say that at? As humanity is to be expected of the Saltikovas. Okay, yeah. He kind of points out how, like, they come from serf economy, and he points out to some of the most violent of serf lords, and it's like, look, our economy didn't change since then. How do you expect these people to treat these people humanely? Like, they don't have anything they have from being humane to people. Like, why would they just up and start being humane to people just because you ask them to? Like, it's when you got all these people on the line, like, why sit here and pretend like that if you don't even change the economical model besides maybe abolishing serfdom, but yet you let everybody keep the property after it, that everything they inherited and stole from people, like, it's like, what's going to change? They're just going to find their way to try to find their way back into serfdom, like, and that's what we see here today in the United States for certain, due to our weak and cowardly political parties, known as the Republicans, but especially, I'd like to send an especially because they particularly lie, is the Democrat Party. They particularly lie to be on the side of people, and that's why they're much more evil than the Republicans. And they do just as much, if not more, damage and deportations. They deport more people. That's for certain. And, they engage more in overthrowing governments and putting people into poverty situations. Republicans, I'm not putting it past Republicans, it's just they're not nearly as capable as being as evil as the Democrats. The Democrats are lying snakes, particularly. The Republicans are at least upfront about how evil they are, and therefore they don't really get away with a lot of evil. They're kind of outdated and dying out, and the liberals are trying to keep them alive, so the Democrats are trying to keep them alive so that they can keep, they're all liberals, but the Democrats are trying to keep them alive so that they could have a boogeyman for the people, so the Democrats don't become the Republicans. But just give it time. But no, I don't want to say give it time like we can't work for it to hurry up, but they won't be here much longer. They won't be in power much longer. But neither one of those snakes. All right, well, y'all have a great day. Y'all want to follow me, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, Medium, all Marxists saw. Be up on there. Y'all have a great day, and Dolala Goi.